He is the OG BMF, the one and only gamebred Jorge Masvidal, Street Jesus himself, and also one of the busiest promoters in the game. So you've got, from what I understand, you did an interview with Ariel and said 12 bare knuckle MMA events alone next year?
4 more this year, 12 next year. We got JDS versus Verdum, September 8th, live, Jacksonville White Star Arena. Don't F with me. This is two guys, heavyweight ex-champions of the world. We took the gloves off to see what happens. They're both from Brazil, so they're about that life. They believe in that Vale Tudo life. They're the ones that probably love it the most. So we put them on next to each other to see what happens. Verdum is actually like always wanted that fight. JDS is like, man, I always got you. So we're excited to see what happens, man. Somebody's gonna get hurt, brother.
Yeah, and if people haven't watched the sport,
this is gonna be a battle, man.
If people haven't watched the sport for a long time, we need to understand JDS was an unknown fighter. He came in on short notice and fought Fabricio Verdum. Verdum was like a 6-1 favorite, and Junior Dos Santos spoiled the party en route to becoming a champion.
Mm-hmm. And we both knew both guys would hold the belt at some point. If you were like a watcher of Verdum, he started out straight Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Then all of a sudden, this guy's knocking people out, wrestling now. And then if he takes somebody down, he's on top of him. He's a world-class problem, you know. And here comes JDS with this crazy athleticism and insane boxing, good takedown defense, and beats him. You know, they both end up becoming champions. And it was always like a fight that I wanted to see. So it was very surreal when this fight started to get made, you know.
Well, what I'm really glad about is that you've started bare knuckle MMA. Like, bare knuckle boxing to me is entertaining, but bare knuckle MMA I think brings it to a whole new level.
Different, you know, just it's more closer to real, and I just want to see what'll happen, you know. And I found out the finishes go up because it's easier to implement a choke. So that's why we got a lot of high level grapplers interested in the bare knuckle stuff because you think, yeah, you're gonna hurt your hand, but to these guys, not if they don't have to throw a punch. So now it's more similar to what they've been doing their whole life, grappling without gloves. They don't have the hand wrap and then a glove on top, and then it gets bulky. So the submission rate definitely goes up on every athlete involved in the card, and then there's more likely chances of cuts, you know, knockouts happen a little bit more frequent, and then also hands can get messed up, so maybe you do gotta grapple, you know. So there's a lot of variables like everything, but I love it, man. It keeps me glued to my seat every time.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, I was at TSN today. We had kind of a big staff meeting, and I chatted with some colleagues of mine and talked about how I feel like bare knuckle has a really bad stigma attached to it because you see all this superficial damage. But I actually think in terms of long-term health, bare knuckle boxing is actually safer, I think, than boxing and MMA because of, like, as you mentioned, people have broken hands. You have to go for, attack the body a little bit more often. And even though there's more superficial damage, I feel like in terms of negating brain damage, that bare knuckle might actually be a safer long-term play. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and then obviously we'll put the pen to the paper, and as years go by, we'll see the stats, because it's still very in its infant stages. So I definitely feel that because if you have a bad enough cut, they'll stop it. As in with the glove, maybe that thing is just like this, and you keep going, taking abuse and abuse. But no matter what, it's fighting, and it's the realest thing it gets to it, the closest it gets to it. So you're gonna tune in. And then you talk about trained guys. Guys have been training since they're 5, 6 years old for this moment. Nuts, man.
Well, you're a guy that's easy to bury the hatchet with. Someone just needs to be real with you, and that's how it goes. Now, you booked both of these guys through their manager, Ali Abdelaziz, and of course, you're no longer represented by First Round Management. But I imagine that when you were, there was a lot of beef between those two particular managers. So how did that get squashed, and how's it been dealing with dominance?
I mean, these guys don't get along with anybody, man. Like, I know we're at First Round. So when I close that chapter up, it's like 1,000 other doors open up. And I was loyal with them to a large degree, where I wasn't bringing in athletes from other things and this and that, which I was like, this is not beneficial for me. I'm trying to run a promotion, a business. I'm not here to like resolve personal or business related things or blockages on certain promotions or companies or agencies. I'm here to get the best of the best and put them to fight each other. I have a business to run. So when that got done, I mean, it just got way, way better with all the managers across the board.
Are there still people at First Round that you would work with if you wanted to book one of their fighters?
Yeah, of course. Again, the same rule applies. Like I'm not here like personal vendetta. This is a business, and personal is personal. Somebody sees me outside and you want to like talk and get loud, that's different. Hey, business is business, and there's still business to get over there. There's free agents that are good over there that we could bring on over. For a fact, we'll do business. That doesn't stop it because I'm in search again for the best fighters in the world that I could possibly get. So a personal vendetta or this that has nothing to do with this.
Off the top, I called you the OG BMF. Of course, the BMF championship is on the line on Saturday. It's UFC 291, and you're going to be there to wrap the belt around the winner of that fight. Now, when you look at the BMF championship, do you feel like this should be the precedent? Is like you're the BMF until you retire, and then you put it on the next guy when they bring the belt back? Or do you feel like the BMF title should be defended if that's what the fighter wants to do?
100%. The fighter should defend it, do whatever, put it up against another BMF or another belt, and then when they retire, put it on the next, and so on and so on and so on, and the tradition lives on. So that's a nice one, man. I like it.
How would you describe what it means to be a BMF if you were to put it into words?
On a quick one, I would say is like, yeah, you can handle business in the cage. You're a fucking animal. You're going for the kill. You're giving the fans everything you want. But with that, you're a cool person outside. You're not an abuser. You're not someone that's abusing your superhuman abilities that you have. Just because you're superhuman above everybody else, you can't be bullying people or treating people in a certain way because they're not an alpha or whatever it is. BMF means you're cool with yourself and everybody around. You're not like being abusive. As bad as a motherfucker as you are. So that definitely helps and matters. And at the same time, being a bad motherfucker. When you step in that cage, you got to give the fans everything that they want, everything and then some.
When you look at yourself and Nate, I think that was kind of predicated on both of you being kind of street smart guys, street savvy, and willing to hold your own in the street. When you look at Dustin and Justin, are they different kinds of BMFs in your opinion?
Definitely, but Dustin's a street dude himself. I mean, he didn't have the nicest upbringing. He's a very humble upbringing. So Justin, I don't know personally. Dustin, I know a little bit more of obviously, and Dustin was no saint, and he went through a lot, and he changed his life with this vehicle that I managed to change my life as well, called MMA, UFC fighting. We both seen it and fell in love with it. So it managed to change his whole life and knock him on another path. So even more kudos to Dustin for that, So God bless him on that. But I think definitely, you should be able to handle your business at all times. When it's family time, when it's out in the street time, and it's different factions of you when you're in the cage, But that's what a BMF is, and being tuned with yourself and being tuned with God. Let's go, man. That's the only way to be a BMF, bro. If not, my face, man. You be crazy, bro.
You and Dustin are very close. Would it be weird for you if, for whatever reason, he loses that fight and you have to wrap the belt around Justin Gaethje, or is it just business is business?
I mean, in that aspect, no. I've known Dustin 9 years. He's helped me out with so many of my training camps. I've worked out with a lot of his training camps, being a sparring dummy, helping each other out in the same grappling classes, fighting on the same cards together, the whole coaching staff. I was having to share the coaches, and then what time are you working out with so-and-so? And all right, me, going to see him before big moments, him coming to visit me right before I fight, and he's backstage with me, so I've definitely known Dustin for a while. I'm cheering for him hard, man. I'm not gonna lie, I'm cheering for him 100%. And if he lost, I definitely feel hurt, But the guy that he lost to, I think, is a stud. He's a great fighter. He's the definition of a prize fighter. This guy comes to scrap it out every time, make sure that every fan in there gets their money's worth, and that's part of being a BMF, So I wouldn't be hating because I think he's a great fighter, but I'd obviously, I'm rooting for Dustin all the way.
All right, last question for you. Of course, you've watched thousands of fights. If you were to go to a desert island and they said you can only take one fight with you to watch from now until eternity, just one, what would it be?
It's a hard question, bro. Cause man, that's nuts. I don't even know. I don't. There's a lot of fights that might qualify for that.
You don't have one favorite fight of all time that you can watch over and over again and never get sick of?
I have a bunch like that. That's the problem, is that I got 10 like that I'm like, these are my favorite fights, and I could just, that they're on. No matter if a friend's watching on the phone, okay, I'll 12 minutes later, boom, I'll watch that, just because they're so captivating. So I couldn't probably pick just one, but I mean, I don't know. Just maybe because he retired right now. Robbie Lawler versus Roy McDonald. I was there live for that one. I was nuts. That was a good one, man. That was a great fight, you know. And like that, there's like a lot of fights where I'm like, let's go. This is a badass fight, you know. I'll take it old school. The Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture ones, those were badass too, you know, because the grappling exchanges and the second fight and stuff like that, and the strategy, and the sport was still like starting to develop and stuff. So it was some of my favorite fights. The Pride fights as well, you know, um, like the lighter weight guys, 70 kilos, 70 kg. Those were some good fights for me.
All right, man. It's always a pleasure getting to catch up with you. Love seeing you do your thing as a promoter, and I can't wait to see 12 bare knuckle MMA events in 2024. It's going to be awesome, and seems like you've got a lot of big names ready to go to represent the brand. So I appreciate your time, and thank you for doing this.
England, we're coming in October. Main event to be announced soon, my brother. I'm gonna come on your show and tell everybody we got banger in England, bare knuckle, October 27th. Go, man.
Blink 3 times if Paul Daly's involved.
What did you say? I didn't hear you.
Never mind. We'll talk about it next time I
What?
have you on.